Hello again. This is part 2 on installing the Tintri VMware Client plugin. Some of you skipped the first video as you already have Docker installed or you're very comfortable with Docker. Again, I am Sean Myers, Field CTO here at Tintri. In this short video, we'll do the actual installation of the remote vSphere Client plugin version 1.2.0.2. All the instructions are in the Tintri vSphere Web Client Remote Plugin Features and Install Guide. First, you need to download the image from the Tintri support portal. Let's talk about that. So Tintri support portal, you want to log in, downloads tab, and you can see this where you get your TXOS versions, your Tintri versions for upgrades, and then of course TGC. But we scroll on down here and we have the vSphere Web Client plugin. So let's go ahead and click that, which is already up here. And you see basic information and documentation. Basic information, download the tar file. You're going to need this. This is actual the plugin, the release notes, basic information, what was changed from it. And then here, of course, is actually the install guide itself. So go ahead and make sure you have a copy of that. Other things to note in the guide, if I can navigate faster, there are many other sections besides what's in there. Introduction, setup, blah, blah, blah. Make sure you read the other ones like the Docker installation we covered in the first process, generating your own self-signed cert if you want to do that, and of course, recommending changing the default admin passwords. Lots of different things in the guide. Feel free to skim through all of it, and follow those instructions. All right, let's get started. Bring up my process here. As you can see, now let's go here. So, whoops, type list. You can see I already have the file over here. So I basically, after I download it, I just use my favorite SCP utility to migrate over the process. This video is going to be very similar to the last video with lots of copy and paste. We're going to go ahead and run the commands now because you don't want to watch me type. And I obviously didn't copy again properly. There we go. So again, here basically it's Docker load with my home directory, where it's at, and the path to the file. Make sure, of course, I have the extra commands, all the processes in there. And password-wise, remember the password, because I think I changed it already. There it goes. It's loading. All right, it's finished. Now we go ahead and verify the image is loaded properly. Yep, looks good. Everything's fine there. Now we're going to go create the directory. It's a simple directory command just to go ahead and do the process to know where we're going to load the file at to. We recommend using the defaults. You can use what you want for this process and how you organize it, but our support team is going to expect to have these paths. If you change it, you're going to have to make sure you explain if you ever have a support call with them. Permission denied. And let's go put a sudo in there. Probably I don't test on like scripts properly. Real simple. And now the next section, basically, you have two different ways of doing it. You can use the Tintri defined self-signed cert, or you can create your own self-signed cert process. The instructions for both are in the document. Feel free to choose yours. In this case, I'm going to use basically a default self-signed cert. Copy. Come on. Why am I not pasting properly? There we go. Couple things to note in this command, kind of long. If you just copy and paste it right out of the PDF, sometimes we have some carriage return line feed processes. Also, you notice the plugin host, you need to have the IP address of where it's going to be installed. That, of course, is the IP address of this host my Docker is running on. All right, it's completed. Once that's done, all you do now is go into the IP address of where it's all at. I need an HTTPS in front of this. There we go. Return. It's loading. It didn't find it. Why did not find it? There it goes. Sometimes it takes a minute to boot up. Came too fast. This is your default screen. Default password. I'm not going to say default password in the chat or on the videos, but they're in the document. Again, I do recommend changing them. You can go do it after this install. I have to acknowledge my terms of service because we always have legal stuff. Feel free to read the multiple pages. Real simple. We now know it's working. What we need to do is go register our vCenter server. Over here, register vCenter server. This got pop up, provide a few things. It says host name or IP address. I do recommend you actually use a fully qualified domain name. It doesn't necessarily require one, but long term, it's always best to have that. And then have, of course, your password to log into it. And I don't actually use the vSphere.local kind of stuff. I have my own domain inside my my vCenters because that's the way I tend to run everything. I don't follow a lot of defaults. And my password, which I typed wrong. and register. Am I sure? Because by the thumbprint, I always hit yes. It's registering, 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 and it takes about 15 seconds sometimes. All right, so now it's there. That actually is the end of it. It's all installed. It's registered in your vCenter server, and you're good to go. So now if I go over to here, I should see it in my shortcuts. However, sometimes it does take a little while for everything to load. So me doing a refresh, I still don't see it here. If I do or do here, I also don't see it here. But if I go here and log out and then log back in real quick, we should see the beginnings of it. It may not have everything properly loaded just yet, so you might have to give it 5 to 10 to 15 minutes. But you can see the plugin is here. Once the first thing I do, now I need to go and add all my VM stores. You'll follow the documentation for how to go use it. If you have any questions, obviously reach out to your sales teams. That concludes today's video, and thank you for watching. We appreciate it.